Congratulations upon reaching this level. And we would say this is a general first class, just to create an awareness. But I think next weekend, that's when officially we shall start our classes. So we want to look at what is expected of us in advanced financial management. Some of you interacted with me at level 2, financial management, and eventually now you're coming for advanced. The two papers are not related. The other one is much easier, but this one is a little bit tight. So you have to put in a lot of effort. If you've been playing around at level 2, you have to double your effort. My name is Geofrey Karubanga, and I've been around for some time. I've worked in a number of organizations, including Catholic Relief Services, EU Government of Uganda Project, UNDP Government of Uganda Projects, and Deloitte and Touche. So right now I am in private practice. That's why I'm able to get time and come at MAT and provide my expertise in financial management. We are going to start by looking at general tips if you want to survive and possibly pass advanced financial management. You need to spend a little bit of 2 hours per day preparing or reading materials associated with paper 15, advanced financial management. You yourself as a person, you need to come up with a target to manage the course. Me, when I went into the course in 2017, I set myself a target of 3 years because I was on a project financed by IFAD, and the project was running for 3 years. And the payment, the funding for the course was coming from that project. So I gave myself 3 years. Fortunately, I completed the course in 2.5 years. Some of you are still young, but you do not know how to survive in the world. You're still thinking and struggling with the politics, wondering when Museveni will leave. We are also wondering when you leave your CPA course. But it's important you create a study plan. How are you going to prepare for the course? But more so, consider your reading environment. If your reading environment is not conducive enough, there is noise everywhere. Those places like Bat Valley, etc., they are not good places. People are just gambling life there. Just move into MAT Abacus. The environment there is kawa, a little bit conducive, very clean, with a very good canteen. All facilities are available, free internet, free Wi-Fi. But it's important you organize your study materials. And more so, you need to have an effective study group. Don't simply join groups but you need to join a group, even if you are 3, that will be able to push you, and you will also be able to push them. But more so, you need to get effective learning techniques combined with effective reading techniques using the SQ3R model. This model has been tested. We have used it. The SQ3R model of effective reading, S stands for survey or scan what you are going to read. Q, the questions that are likely to come from what you're going to read. Then 3R means read, recite, and review. You will not avoid that when you are reading theory. You have to read the theory. You have to recite the theory. But even if there are computations, you have to read the scenario, recite, and then review what you have done. When you adopt the SQ3R model of effective reading, you begin preparing yourself. S, scan what you are going to read. Q, questions that are likely to come. And then the 3R. Always believe in yourself. By believing in yourself, you will take responsibility for your own learning. At this stage, you are an adult. And therefore, you're supposed to take your responsibility for your own learning. Nobody will push you. But most importantly, recognize that failure is an opportunity to begin afresh and more intelligently. Simply sit back and say, wait a minute. What happened? Where did the things go wrong? And therefore, you start afresh. Hence, learn to recognize that failure is an opportunity to begin afresh and more intelligently. You'll be stressed. The materials will stress you. The border people will stress you. The tutors will stress you. Your family members will stress you. Your village members will stress you. And therefore, you need to invest in stress management. And above all, make sure you cover the whole syllabus. So far, am I making sense to you people? Can someone say something funny? Are you people still there? I'm not seeing you because I'm in a PowerPoint.
Clear, it's clear. I get
You are seeing my screen?
Yes.
Okay. As you move forward, I've always emphasized that you need to have tools that will enable you to survive this paper. One of the tools is you need to get a copy of the latest past papers. Either way, you can have soft copies from the web, or you can get hard copies. I'm told that they get there at MAT Abacus. There is a photocopier. You can always get those papers from there. Make sure you get those past papers with the solutions. You need to have a scientific calculator, and please learn how to use it. I don't teach QT, and therefore I will not teach you how to use a calculator. I will assume we are on the same level. So do not come to class expecting me to help you figure out the calculator. No. You need to have a copy of the examination syllabus. I'm told this syllabus is available on the web and the internet. And above all, you need to have a smartphone with data. Fortunately, if you are at MAT, we shall give you free Wi-Fi, free internet. And above all, you need to form a WhatsApp group. MAT has already formed a WhatsApp group for all students. That's why we got you. And remain active on that group. I will be sending their mini tests, which don't last more than 10 minutes. Where we disagree heavily, and you have your own wisdom and you are trying to disagree with me, always go to this website known as Investopedia. That is the website for investors. And when I'm dealing with the advanced financial management, I'm actually assuming that I'm dealing with investors. So ladies and gentlemen, those are the tools you need to have. Of course, you will need to have a pen and a paper, etc. What is the syllabus telling us? Your syllabus is provided by the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda. This syllabus was issued in November 2022 for examinations starting January 2023. So we have so far run 2023, 2024, 2025. We are about throughout the syllabus. 2 years later, it should be out or 4. That is the copy you should be able to look for, and make sure the syllabus you are looking for on the internet reads that was issued in November 2022 and will run effective January 2023. That's how your paper is structured: Advanced Financial Management, paper 15. You cannot come here to attempt anything on advanced financial management unless you have completed financial management paper 8. And there is no way you'll move to financial management unless you have completed financial accounting and management accounting. So when I will be talking up there, things to do like MDC, a little bit of accounts, I'm assuming you have been there. And therefore, you will not force me to go back to accounting. Of course, we are not going to debit, we are not going to credit, but there are a few things you need to understand. When you are studying, you need to carefully understand our learning outcomes. Our learning outcomes are organized in 6 hierarchical levels. They move from the lowest level, that is the knowledge level, through to the highest level, that is the evaluation. Now, the levels are identified within the syllabus for each learning outcome within a subject. Every subject or every paper, there are learning outcomes that are identified. Before we look at what are the learning outcomes for paper 15, what do they mean by K? K is knowledge. So when we go to your syllabus, you'll be seeing letters like K, C, A, N, S, E. But what does K mean? It means you are required to recall facts and ideas previously learned. C is comprehension. This is where you demonstrate an understanding of facts and ideas by organizing, comparing, translating, interpreting, giving descriptions, and stating main ideas. A is application. It refers to usage of knowledge and skills to solve problems. The acquired knowledge, facts, techniques, and rules applied in many ways to create new situations. AN, examine and break information into parts by identifying motives or causes, possibly make inferences, and find evidence to support your generalization. S is synthesis, whereby you'll be required to compile information together in a different way by combining elements in a new pattern or proposing alternative. Then E is evaluation, ability to judge the value of material at hand for a given purpose. Those are the general descriptions of this learning outcome. Now, when you come to paper 15, when you come to advanced financial management, those are the learning outcomes expected of you. There are 8. Now you can see number 1, learning outcome number 1 for advanced financial management is to evaluate the role of financial management executives in corporate governance. And it is E. We have just said E is evaluate. Evaluation, ability to judge the value of material at hand for a given purpose. So that's what the examiner is going to examine you on, that E. Then 2, evaluate the role of financial market theories and financial securities. That is E, evaluation. 3, evaluate the impact of financial decisions on cost of capital. All that is evaluation. 4, evaluate investment decisions and their impact on the financial position. Still, that is E. Then 5, recommend appropriate financing options. S, how did we say S is? Synthesis, compile information together in a different way by combining elements in a new pattern or proposing alternative solutions. Then 6, recommend appropriate corporate restructuring strategies. 7, evaluate financial decisions in the international environment. So your paper, your outcomes are measured on evaluate. So when you see those questions in advanced financial management, they are always evaluate. But when you evaluate at the end of the day, you make recommendations. That's why 5 and 6 is like you're making recommendations. The syllabus, as we have seen earlier, is an extension of paper 8. Your paper has 12 topics. Previously, they were 10. In the new syllabus, they were increased to 15. Please pay attention. The critical topics are capital budgeting, cost of capital, capital structure, corporate restructuring, ethics, and corporate governance. Possibly by Saturday or Sunday, I think next week we'll have a class. We should be able to sort out ethics and corporate governance. You should be reminded that 80% of your paper constitute quantitative analysis. When I say quantitative analysis, I mean calculations, computations. In that paper, there are some theoretical areas like Islamic finance, corporate governance. Those are the easiest. How will the exam be? How will the examination be structured? The paper has 2 sections. At this level, section A is compulsory with 50 marks. Those 50 marks, 60% of it is computational and 40% is theoretical. Section B has 3 optional questions. You will be required to attempt 2, each taking only 25 marks. At that level, 50% of each question will be computational and 50% will be theoretical. You are reminded the questions here are scenario-based, and the students are required to evaluate and advise management in line with those outcomes. So take note. What does the examiner expect out from you? The examiner expects you to compute and analyze the results and recommend strategies. We will expect you to write a report. However, we usually encourage a memo format. You are supposed to provide workings at the end of the reports, and you will be required to evaluate investment decisions, financing options, dividend policies, restructuring strategies. Those are the norms of life today. But of course, students are to deal with or report on ethics and governance, issues to do with fraud, conflict of interest, money laundering, company policies, etc. That's where the examiner will be behaving from. That's why he will be taking you on. And while dealing with the paper, you are expected to identify relevant information, especially in question 1 under capital budgeting, which will help you in correct computations. And at the end of the day, should be able to help you to form a basis for decision making. The examiner has complained about poor handwriting. You are expected to be neat simply because neatness attracts attention of the marker. Therefore, you are expected to present your first homework, which should be handwritten, and it will be handwritten. You should be able to present it in the next class, which is either on Saturday or Sunday, one of the 2. I'm going to give you the assignment today. Do not type your work, please. You should be able to know professional presentation is key because it attracts professional marks. Never underrate that, whether it is 1 mark or 2. Ladies have been doing well in that regard. It is important you always attempt the required number of questions. When you attempt the required number of questions, the pass mark can easily be achieved. And more so, if you attempt the right number of questions, it will help you to spread the risk of misfiring. Of course, you will be required to report on modern issues in financial management. These include Islamic financing. We have got an Islamic bank in Uganda today. This is only theoretical, that's what I mean, qualitative and factual. In other words, any question on Islamic finance is always a straightforward question. You are expected to capture that mark, about 6 to 8. And that Islamic finance is examined around question 1, together with another mark on ethics, sustainability, that is governance. Therefore, it's very, very important you capture easy marks and be ready to pass the paper first time. Is paper 15 relevant to your professional journey? We are saying yes. It will always help you in evaluation of investment decisions. Capital budgeting forms the most costly decision of every organization. So capital budgeting is extremely important. So this paper will help you to understand that better. Of course, paper 15, advanced financial management, fits in well with current business environment, which is being characterized by takeovers, mergers. We saw NC Bank merging with the CBA. We are seeing Kuku Foods being a little bit, take part of it being acquired by Shell. It is a classic case that has attracted the attention of URA. What is happening in there? We are seeing Old Mutual. We are hearing of Allianz. I don't know Allianz what. Those things. What is happening? We are seeing Centenary Bank flying to Malawi, taking over bank down there. We also saw things like Equity Bank moving into Uganda, Rwanda, and DRC, taking over some institutions. And therefore, paper 15 will help you to carefully understand those issues. But it will also help you to carefully understand the normal conventional banking, which you know vis-a-vis Islamic banking. Islamic banking, Islamic financing is a new concept in this country. And therefore, you as a finance manager expect to have some great ideas on the same. Nowadays, we say the world is a global village. You wake up today in Uganda, tomorrow you sleep in China. And you continue transacting across the globe. So long as you continue transacting internationally, then you will be faced with risks. What we call currency risk or foreign exchange risk. If you borrow abroad, this is what we call interest rate risks. We also have political risks. If you want to invest in Goma, DRC, there is M23 controlling that area. There are always risks. Paper 15 will help you to understand how you hedge against those risks. But at the same time, if you need to finance big projects like Trade Heights, you need big monies, and therefore you will need to borrow. So paper 15 will help you to how to go around with such a scenario or such issues, and more so how to deal with the cost of debt and the impact of gearing. The word gearing here simply refers to the level of debt in your company, in your capital structure. So debt is important. We only need to see its implications and therefore impact when we attract more debt financing into our companies. Corporate governance is important, as poor corporate governance has been cited in the collapse of Barings Bank in Britain. In Uganda here, we have got cases like the Greenland Bank. We also had the International Credit Bank, which was where on Nkrumah Road, where Post Bank is now. You are aware of Crane Bank. In America, there is the case of Enron. We are saying these institutions have basically collapsed as a result of failure of corporate governance. You have failed because of poor corporate governance. So when we start learning corporate governance, you will need to pay particular attention to the issues I will be raising in order to pick a leaf and understand some mechanics associated with corporate governance. CG is corporate governance. But there is also a concern, why do students fail advanced financial management? Give me a second. Why people fail advanced FM? I believe it is a failure to read and effectively understand the requirements of the question. Most of you do not understand what the questions require, those scenarios. Poor time management has been cited. We agree with you people, the time is not enough. The questions are a little bit detailed. But even though the time is not enough, some of you don't use the time very well. You over-concentrate on a few questions, and at times you attempt less than the required number of questions. At times, inadequate preparations has been cited. Most of you, students and lecturers, do not cover at least 80% of the syllabus. This has been seen in the market. Some lecturers spot teach a few topics and life continues. But again, when we teach, at MAT we try to teach all. When we teach, some students specialize, they don't want to do some other topics. If you meet our prize winner for May, that lady literally knew everything. Even I don't know why they gave her 79. They should have given her above 90. That 79 was too little for her. And when you meet her, she will cry like you. If you go and see her papers of level 1, she was getting 90, 91, 89, 90, 81. She sent me her results from level 1. The prize winner for May is the same prize winner for FM in 2014, MDC. She was the prize winner of even MDC. I think even business law. That woman has a lot of prizes in her home. Now with you, the whole clan even has no single prize. What happened? Can someone talk back? What's the problem? Why can't you get the prize? Are you still there? Hello?
We lack concentration and we don't put enough time in reading.
So
I.
how? So what should we do?
Like you said, read more, concentrate, and give attention to the paper.
Yes. And most of you have scanty knowledge on many syllabus areas. But some of you, you revise paper 15, you fail to revise it in line with the learning outcomes. That's why today I had to share with you those learning outcomes. Poor handwriting, substandard presentations, and lack of professional flow is always also another problem. Then some of you come with a big head, have a bachelor's degree from Chambogo, have a bachelor's degree from IU. For heaven's sake, we also have those bachelor's degrees. And you should note that the bachelor's degrees could look useless in light with the CPA. They just help you to gain entry. So don't come with a big head that you have a bachelor's degree and you are the top in your class. The professional paper, professional course can push you to be among the last. Remember, at bachelor's level, 40% you are doing it from home, the test and coursework. At professional level, there is no coursework. There is no test. You will go into the exam with a 0%. But at bachelor's level, you go into the exam with 40%. You already have 40%. I think I had Makerere wants to increase that 50%. And once Makerere does it, other universities will follow. Spot reading is bad. Most of you spot read. You begin indicating that I will never do anything to do with portfolio theory. Who are you? Supposing portfolio theory is the simplest in the whole paper. But when you are dealing with capital budgeting, most of you fail to identify the relevant cash flows or the relevant information from the scenarios given. So when I will be presenting and discussing capital budgeting sometime in August, you need to understand my emphasis on what I mean by relevant cash flows. Some of you at times you make wrong choices of questions attempted. In November 2019, question 3 looked to be easier, but it was not a good question to do. It was taking more time. There were other questions that actually were much easier than question 3. But because that question 3 was in line with what students commonly keep on talking about, this, they rushed in for it. Majority failed because that question was taking a lot of time. That is your syllabus. We are supposed to cover those topics: corporate governance, financial market theories and securities, capital budgeting, cost of capital and capital structure, dividend policy, portfolio theory, the capital asset pricing model, corporate restructuring. You should be reminded the business evaluations have been removed. They are at level 2, but doesn't stop the examiner from examining that. Derivatives is all about hedging. Then we shall go multinational and international trade, international markets, and then Islamic finance. That is the outlook of your syllabus. We are expected. This is an outline. It is well detailed in your syllabus, but those are the topics you are expected to cover before you move into the exam in December 2026. But more so, the workbook we give you responds to these topics, and therefore the workbook will be a good tool to help you. That's where I'm telling you to refer to the detailed syllabus as provided by ISPAL, page 139 to page 145. And also the study worker book we provide. Make sure you get your study worker book. It's what I use. By Friday or Saturday, you should have gotten it. Today is Saturday, so by Saturday, I think we have a class, or Sunday. I will check the timetable. So make sure you have your worker book, such that as we go to the first topic, you already have your notes. How do we approach a case study? You should remember question 1 takes 50 marks. It has a detailed and well-presented case study. Sometimes the case study goes up to 4 pages or 3. So it is important you understand the task in the case study, understand the case. The two words are different. There is understanding the task and understanding the case study. Identify the main problems in that case, analyze the problems in that case. Then you will develop and evaluate solutions. You will conclude by making recommendations. You might understand the task, what you're supposed to do, but you're not understanding the case. The whole scenario is all about what? So if you want to pass this question, a scenario-based case study, always understand the case, then understand the task. The task is the required. What does the examiner require you? You should be able to identify the main problems in that case study, analyze those problems, then you'll be able to develop and evaluate solutions. Pitfalls to avoid spotting, and more so avoid cramming. The other is failure to cover the syllabus. Do not fall into that. Failure to dedicate enough time for revision. You need to give this paper 2 hours every day. Failure to find out why one failed and the solution is sought. Some of you keep on consulting people who failed the paper, but some of us who passed it the first time, and even who are prize winners, you don't consult us. Maybe you don't see us. You keep on seeing those people who failed the paper and they tell you how the paper is hard. But how is the paper hard when we are continuing to get prize winners? I've been getting prize winners since June 2022 when I started teaching advanced AFM. I started teaching in 2020, but in 2022, I'd already gotten I'd already understood what the examiner wanted or wants, and life continued. We have continued to get those prize winners. The other pitfall to avoid is failure to know the learning outcomes of the subject. I've already shared with you the learning outcomes. Failure to know the principles on which that subject is based, the rules of the game. We're dealing with financial management. It has its own rules. Failure or refusal to attend lecture classes. Some of you keep on thinking, the recording is there. A recording of 3 hours, effectively, how long, how effectively, how will you listen to it? Most of you don't. You keep on skipping, increasing speed. And some of you at times you use old or outdated reading materials. At MAT Abacus, we shall be able to give you our reading materials we feel are appropriate. Anything we find missing, we can always add it there and present it to the students. The way forward, pay attention to neatness, organization, and structure of your answers. Your answers must relate to the scenario in question. Generic answers score no marks. Use your exam time effectively. Always attempt the required number of questions. Read all notes as provided by the lecturer. Start early, giving the paper a minimum of 2 hours per day. It is important you attempt all homework and planned tests. We shall have mock and some small tests. When we put those tests, make sure you attempt them. Develop a sound knowledge of the entire CP paper 15 syllabus. Always practice with past paper questions and exam conditions to build efficiency. And as such, I'm commanding you to look for past papers from November 2019 to May 2026. Anything earlier than 2019 is not necessary. Therefore, those papers from 2019 today are okay. Always show workings. You earn professional marks even if there are no numerical error, even if there are numerical errors. Avoid expecting miracles. Some of you are members of FENARO. You sleep there and therefore you think miracles will happen. They will never happen. Avoid expecting miracles. And above all, avoid expecting favors from the examiners and ISPAO. Stop blaming anybody when you fail. Some of you want to blame tutors. You want to blame ISPAO. You want to blame examiners. But it's always important you find out why you lost the paper and start afresh. There is need for mindset change. You are dealing with professional studies. It's different from what you covered at campus, the academic part of life. Always attend all lectures and sessions. Do your coursework, tests and mock exams, and use up-to-date reading materials. It is our responsibility to keep on updating the materials. If we find something new, even if it is not in the workbook, we can always share it on our groups or on the learning, on the LMS. I do not know at this stage if you have any questions. Do we have questions at this stage? Do we have questions? Any observations? Are you people there? Any questions? Today, no questions? Agaba, how are you?
I'm okay, Professor.
Is everything fine?
Yes, everything was fine. Thank you for the presentation. Looking forward to hear from you more.
Yes. All right, let us see how we conclude today. How do we conclude? You need to start by believing that you can do it. Otherwise, you will not commit yourself to it. So believe in yourself and believe you can do it. You need to start reading early enough all your reading materials, and towards the exam, then you do effective revision. You will never do effective revision if you have not been reading. So start reading early enough, and it is always advisable to practice past paper questions so that you can get a feel of the style and format. A hard worker can defeat even the most talented. And you should know failure is glorious. And above all, life begins when fear stops. But there is a saying that a cow does not give milk. What is the meaning of that? Who can explain? A cow does not give milk. An idea from anybody?
I think it means you need to put in more extra effort to get the milk
Thank you.
from
Another
the cow.
person? That is very okay. Another person? A cow does not give milk.
Well, I think that
Yes?
it means that the person has to do the milk, get the milk. The cow doesn't just come and give you the milk.
Your volume has gone low. But all in all, you need to put in more effort. A cow does not give milk simply means, like what she has indicated, for a cow, you have to wake up in the morning to milk that cow. Therefore, more effort is required. So if you want to pass this paper, you need to put in this effort. At times, I will be putting in once in a while a 5 a.m. class. If I realize there's a public holiday like on Independence Day, why not? Class will run from 5 a.m. to 7. Because the time on the timetable is never enough. You are working Monday to Friday. Then when do you read? Wake up at 4 a.m., read, then go to work at 6. That's what we used to do when we were reading. So always remember, a cow does not give milk. You have to put in that extra effort to go and milk that cow. So you need to be serious and get ready right from today. So simulation 1, you go into past papers. Look at May 2025. Look at August 2025, and also look at December 2025. And see, question 1 was about what? I have gone through August 2025. They wanted you evaluate a project using IRR. There was a concern on lease or buy. But also that one in red says evaluation of 3 projects with a different lifespan using either EAB or ESC. That is the same thing that was examined in December 2025 when you see that NPV using equivalent annual benefit. Same thing. Therefore, when you analyze, don't analyze all of them, just analyze about 3 or 4. There's no need to present this to me, but just look at question 1 in those 3 years, 3 sittings. Now you have 4. May 2026. Question 1 was about what? Question 2 was about what? Question 3 was about what? You will find these are the same things we keep on repeating. As we conclude today, ethics and corporate governance is supposed to be our first topic. Governance is coming. Governance is being emphasized nowadays as a result of failure of many corporations in the world, among which we have Enron, the Enron case in the United States. If you wanted, you can Google and read more about the Enron case. It was a classic case. Their auditors were Arthur Anderson. Arthur Anderson was audit firm number 1 in the world. They were auditing Enron, but in one way, they were consultants to Enron. There is a way they helped the company manipulate the share prices, and many people moved in to invest in, but eventually the reality set in, Enron collapsed. Same story is close to Barings Bank in Britain. The man who collapsed it is still there. He's called Lee. He was managing a branch or a practice in Singapore. If he caused problems there and the bank collapsed, he was jailed, but I think he's out of jail. He's there. He bought one of the football clubs in Britain there. In Uganda, here we had the International Credit Bank. The owner was Kato, the old man Mzee Kato. He had the 2 sons, all of them called Kato. The 2 sons are around. By the time I was at campus those years, they were the celebs known in this country. They were the owners of Radio Sanyo Radio or whatever. Before I think Sudiri bought it, or he bought it from Sudiri or something like that. One of them was a rally driver. They led a good life. But at the same time, they were directors in the International Credit Bank. And their father was the chairman, Mzee Kato. The bank had opened branches as far as Tanzania. But they were doing very many things that were not in line with the rules in the country. The bank was closed. We also had the Greenland Bank, headquartered at Greenland Tower. Greenland Tower is that building opposite Bank of Uganda. Nowadays they call it, that's where Karubanga is. But those were the headquarters and the owners of Greenland Tower. The MD was Sulaiman Chigundu, Professor Sulaiman Chigundu, who was a lecturer of economics at Makerere University by 1986. And later, President Museveni appointed him Governor Bank of Uganda. Along the way, he had challenges with the leadership. He was thrown out and he went and started the Greenland Bank. Being a highly Muslim and highly educated Muslim, all Muslims in Chukubu and around the city rushed and opened accounts. That's the bank that could close at 7 p.m. Those years, commercial banks would close at 2. But with him, he opened Greenland. So it had a good clientele, it had a good market, especially the business community. Very powerful. That is the bank that attempted to buy UCB. But later, when a due diligence was carried out on them, many loans were off balance sheet and many other things. The bank collapsed. The question is, where was corporate governance? When we talk about corporate governance, we are talking about how the bank is directed or how institutions are directed and controlled. There is always the board of directors. When Sulaiman Chigundu was doing those things, where was the board? For the International Credit Bank, the problem was the chairman board was the owner of the bank. Kato, Mzee Kato, Thomas Kato. Then the MD was his son, and another also his son. We also have a recent case of MTK. MTX, the owner died, I think, during COVID, but MT is completely closed. The MTK was a very good company supplying animal drugs, vet drugs. They were winning government contracts, supplying vaccines and medicines or drugs to the cattle corridor. But animals continue to die until this woman called Nakale Madid carried out a due diligence, picked samples of those medicines, came to the headquarters of MTK, asked them if they were from MTK, they confirmed. They asked them where were they manufactured, they confirmed they were manufactured in Kenya. Nakalema went to Kenya, to those factories. Those factories disowned that those medicines were not coming from them. The son and the daughter, I think the son of Mzee Kato, no Katongole, all of them are Katongole, they are the same things. But this one was Katongole. The other one of International Credit Bank was a Munyarwanda. But this one was not a Munyarwanda, Katongole. Mzee Katongole, his son and the daughter were the ones that they were jailed in Luzira around the COVID time. In the process, Mzee died. Recently, we also have problems with the Crane Bank, which you understand. This one has happened when you are around. UTL has been struggling. They have tried to restructure it, but not yet to that level we expect it. Nakumatu was here, it failed. Uchumi failed, and in the whole of East Africa. Where is governance in all those things? Because of those challenges, especially when the Enron case came through and many other problems in Britain, a committee to advise on how corporations must be run was formed in Britain, headed by Cadbury. If you have been studying audit and ethics, you must have heard about the Cadbury report. The Cadbury report really came up with recommendations on how corporations must be run. In South Africa, at the height of apartheid, the whites knew they were going to lose out from the political side. They were worried about their businesses. So they appointed a man called King, a South African High Court judge, and advised and made recommendations on how corporations must be run and governed. When you look at the Cadbury report and the King report, now that has evolved into King Report 3, they come up with the good recommendations. Then in Uganda, we have got the Institute of Corporate Governance that advises and makes recommendations on how corporations must be run, especially those that are listed on the stock market. You can't simply get listed there unless you have good corporate governance practices in your company. But even if you are a private company like MAT, we expect them to practice good governance in their companies. There must be the board of directors. The board of directors must be headed by a chairman who is not part and parcel of that institution. The board must be made up of more non-executive directors. But for the case of the International Credit Bank, Mzee Kato Thomas was the chairman board, but at the same time, he was the CEO. Quite conflicting. On my own, I like more of the King report. I've ever read it fully. But all of them make the same guidance. The Institute of Corporate Governance in Uganda picks from guidelines as advanced by the Commonwealth. There's also what we call the Commonwealth Corporate Governance Guidelines. All these are things that you need to understand, not in details, but a little bit, as we shall be covering the topic later next weekend. Therefore, to understand fully under your exam, what corporate governance is all about, you need to go to your class notes. And the notes there are prepared in line with the requirement of the syllabus. And therefore, your first assignment is to read about governance in line with your syllabus. So get your workbook. You will always be required to write a report or a memo. And I'm illustrating how a report is prepared. We don't do a detailed report. A detailed report will be done when you are doing your final paper of integration of knowledge. But here we only illustrate. As an example, this is a template. As a senior financial advisor to the managing director of Kinyara, prepare a report or memo on the effects of COVID-19 to the financial performance of the company. So if you are to write a report, you start with the title. The title comes from those words. Maybe the effects of COVID-19 to the financial performance of KSL. Then you need to address it to who? Managing director. From whom? You don't put your name. The title will always be indicated in the question. If there's no title, you give yourself any title. The date, always you put the exam date. Then you start with an introduction, which must be a brief one. And then you start answering those questions, 1A, 1B. Conclude when you are done, but do not sign the report. If you sign the report, you will be disqualified. If at all you had any workings, always attach them as appendices or working 1, working 2. In case it is a memo, you don't start with a title. You simply say to, from, then the date. The subject is what was the title under the report. Then you go to the introduction, etc. However, down here I'm saying, however, the examiner has confirmed that the report will take a memo form. So when he tells you to write a report, you're basically going to write a memo. That takes about 2 marks. And all questions in advanced financial management, you will always be answered in a report form. Whether he has told you or not, you do it in a report form. So that is your first homework. You can do a screenshot and share on the group. Take a screenshot and share on the group. That is the first homework that you should be able to present on Saturday. Can someone do a screenshot and share it in the group? Do a screenshot and share it in the group. You can also do a screenshot of the report. I'm concluding. I've taken a screenshot. Has anybody taken a screenshot and shared it?
Yes.
You can do a screenshot of the template. How to write a report. Have you taken that screenshot? We are concluding.
Yes.
And you will submit your solution. Either you will present hard copy or by email. That space is an underscore. And do not, you send one PDF, not screenshots. I beg to stop here. Wait a minute. That is the email. Ethics. We shall be talking more about ethics later. But there's that diagram. What do you see from this diagram?
I see bicycles
Yes,
well
I'm seeing.
arranged and well
Yes,
aligned.
I'm seeing these bicycles also nowadays in Uganda, in Makerere. But this screenshot, this photo was taken from Tel Aviv, Israel. That's where the Prime Minister of Israel called Rabbi was killed from in the 70s. So bicycles are assembled there. If you come from Bweyogerere and you reach City Square, you pick a bicycle and go to Wanege and bring it back. If we did that, how many days will those bicycles stay? If those bicycles are put at the City Square, how many days will they take in Uganda?
Seconds.
Seconds. And that is the whole concern about ethics. And therefore, you will be examined on ethical conduct, issues to do with money laundering, corruption, inside dealing, conflict of interest, bribery, fraud, but above all, also environmental sustainability management. These are part of the first topic, which is governance. That governance goes hand in hand with ethics. So I will start with governance alongside the ethics. When we are done with that, it's when we shall go to Islamic financing, such that we cover this theory early enough before we start hitting the computations. That marks the end for today, unless if you have a question. Any questions? I beg you to stop here. If there's no question, bye. May God bless you all. We meet next weekend.